Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Reloading Chat. So I'm gonna load a little bit of 9 mil, and let's talk about some interesting stuff I've seen online lately. I'll link one of the articles down below. But it's really funny because, you see so many people on the left who are so upset by Trump winning, or they're upset about the possible changes to immigration policy, that tons of them want to move to Canada because Canada is more leftist, more liberal, supposedly, than the United States. Well, it turns out that so many people went to check the Canadian laws on immigration right after Trump won the election that apparently it crashed Canada's immigration website because they had more traffic than their website could actually handle. What unfortunately all these people found out, they don't actually qualify to immigrate to this country that they think has better laws, that they think is a better fit for them. The ironic thing is they found out, and a lot of them have noted it, they actually don't qualify for Canadian immigration. They don't qualify for Canadian immigration. See, because here's the difference. Canada being a truly socialized country, in a lot of ways, they can't afford to bring in moochers. They can't afford to bring in people who aren't going to bring specific economic boosting skills or who aren't independently wealthy already. Meaning people need to bring wealth with them or bring actual viable trade skills. Meaning a lot of these leftists who checked into it, many of them were on welfare already of some type, benefits, or they're college students, or they have a degree that isn't tech-based or not skill-based in any way, meaning they have some sort of liberal arts degree, something in the humanities, that turns out isn't really that marketable or useful to Canada. Therefore, they're not useful. Now, that's the ironic part. They're finding out that Canada doesn't actually have a use for them. So they're not going to be able to immigrate there. But yet they want to live there instead of under Trump, and a big part of it is his immigration policies. Of him not wanting to let people illegally into the country who aren't willing to go through the legal process and prove that they have something to actually offer this country. See, that's what's lost on these people. Countries that have prosperity don't maintain their prosperity by letting just anyone in. Most prosperous countries, most first world countries, other than taking in refugees, which is what Canada is agreeing to do, they're taking in refugees from Syria and stuff, but that's not under their normal immigration. None of those people would qualify to come to Canada through their actual immigration process if they weren't fleeing as refugees from war. That's a bit of a loophole. But you can't just immigrate there. A person who only makes like a working class level income, who has no viable skills, like you're not an engineer or a skilled technician. Okay, maybe if you're really skilled at building and repairing natural gas compressors, you have a technical trade skill that's useful to Canada, you could probably get in. But if you're just a manual laborer, or you have a humanities degree, or you don't have like $1 million in assets or something, or in savings, they're just not going to just let just anyone in. Yet that's not racist. That's this whole thing. This whole left thing is acting like we're being racist about actually having normal immigration laws. What they need to understand is that previous administrations have allowed our immigration laws to not be enforced, to allow huge amounts of illegal immigration into our country. No other successful country does that. And that's the ironic thing. They talk about progressives, and they talk about all these other countries being progressive. They all have strict immigration laws unless you're coming in as a refugee. Canada actually has strict immigration laws as a leftist, progressive country. Yet we want to have immigration laws that are close to as strict as Canada, and they want to leave the country because of it. And it's really stupid. It shows how ignorant these people are, of how misled they are by politicians and other different interests who don't actually understand the reality of it. There is nothing unusual for countries to have borders, to have immigration laws, and actually be picky about who they let into their country. Every country on earth has a right to do that. That's part of what being a country is. And yeah, countries are always going to have their own deadbeats and freeloaders. Right? They're always going to have their people who aren't useful to society. But generally, other countries won't accept them into their country because they all have their own to deal with too. They don't need any more. And that's kind of the point that we make with our immigration, is the exact point Canada brings home with it. We're having people who are going to come into this country who are either coming in who are going to be criminals in many cases, all right, or people who are coming in who don't have useful skills other than basic manual labor. We already have plenty of people here who can't provide anything else. We don't need more deadbeats coming in. We have enough. We have too many people we already have to take care of. We don't need Mexico sending theirs also. And what people need to consider is the enormous tax drain and stuff it has on our system. I mean, when you think about it, even people who come over here and work, tons of them send their money over to Mexico. That's one reason Mexico is so angry about the wall and angry about the deportation. They're going to be getting back their citizens that they know they can't afford to take care of, and these are citizens who work here and send wealth back into their country. All right, Mexico is sitting on enormous amounts of our dollars, both from people who send money over as well as the drug cartels. The drug cartels are sitting on billions of dollars in American cash. Quite frankly, we need to start considering using military might to go back and retrieve our stolen assets. That's money that's been exported illegally out of this country by drug dealers. All right, that's been stolen money. That really is almost a military matter. That's almost at the point we need to consider. So, I mean, they're acting like our immigration laws are crazy. No, we're losing wealth as a result of not enforcing our immigration laws. And the immigration laws we're talking about enforcing are no different than any progressive country has. Canada doesn't just allow anyone to come in. Australia doesn't just allow anyone to come in. These countries all have laws. And what these leftists are finding out is that many of them, most of them who are talking about this are like, I'll just leave because I don't like these policies, are finding out they're not actually good enough to get into these other countries. Maybe when they realize that, maybe they need to start rethinking their life. Maybe they need to start rethinking their values. Maybe they need to start rethinking their politics when they realize that they don't actually qualify to immigrate to these other countries that they think are all of a sudden going to have better policies, that they're not good enough to get in. Maybe they need to re-examine their own lives and ask why that is. Maybe they need to learn to be more valuable to their own society because they're not good enough to get into another one. Or, you know, if they think they want to be surrounded by tons of people directly from Mexico who want to come over here illegally, why don't they talk about leaving and going down to Mexico? You know, that's also another country. Oh, it has kind of strict immigration laws too, though. It has immigration laws also. Any of these people considering that Mexico has a wall on its southern border because they don't want those dirty Central Americans getting into their country? That's how they view it. So again, this double standard. There's this massive double standard here with all this immigration. And that is a point to consider. Why is it that Mexico has a southern wall, but it's offended that we're going to build a wall to their northern border? Why is it offensive? Because they make too much money with that open border. That open border makes them billions and billions of dollars. The illegal flow of cash, drugs, and people back and forth across that border makes billions and billions of dollars for Mexico. And they know it. They know that they're getting cash illegally across that border, both through families sending their wages back home to their families and due to the cartels bringing in drug money. That's why they don't do anything about the cartels. Of course, they're corrupt and they kill leaders and everyone who try to oppose them. But yeah, they're bringing in tons of cash into the country, American dollars, which they know are worth something. So that's what's really going on, and yet all these leftists, they don't get it. They don't seem to understand what's going on, and they don't seem to understand that every other country actually enforces their laws. They want to go to Canada. Well, you're not good enough to get through Canada's immigration laws. How does that make you feel? Again, they should probably think that through. See, I have immigrated to another country legally. I have followed the process and immigrated to another country legally. So since I've gone through the process, I don't have any problem whatsoever with telling people who come into my own country illegally, now that I'm back here, that we need to deport them. They don't have any rights here. I have no respect for them, none. Because I have gone through the process. I have actually immigrated to another country legally. I paid all the money that they asked me to pay. I paid the fees. I did all the paperwork. I did everything that they requested, and it was successful. I still have a legal right to go back anytime I want. All right, I still have a legitimate settlement card there. I can go back anytime I want. I don't want to, but I could. Why? Because I went through the legal process. And so, no, I don't respect anyone who doesn't do that. If they can't go through the proper process, no, they shouldn't be coming in your country. It's that simple. And a country actually has every right to deport them. A country actually legally, you want to get into international laws, technically we can arrest them and use them for slave labor legally, or we could execute them legally. They're illegally inside of our border. All right, that is actually wouldn't even be violations really of international laws if we were to do that. But we're not talking about doing that. We're just talking about deporting them back to their own country peacefully without exploiting them. And yet that's somehow evil and bad. And we're talking about protecting our own financial interests because it's our money has been devastated as a result of this. We have lost enormous amounts of money. You know what? And it looks like, honestly, well, now that they're looking at it, it looks like Canadians are smarter with their immigration than we have been for the past 20 years. Maybe we could learn something from Canada. All these liberals want to go to Canada. Well, how about we use the Canadian model? Let's use Canada's immigration model since they think Canada is so great. But if we did that, they would all scream about how racist we are, like the Canadians. I don't know. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.